Hello everyone and welcome back to another great super cool radio interview. I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I start talking about my guests, just a quick reminder to thumbs up this video and make sure to subscribe and turn that notification bell. That way to not miss any new interviews or episodes. I got a really great guest who will be making his 5th appearance here on a super cool radio. He is Bryan Knickerbocker from the great state of Michigan. This year, Bryan has been working very hard on a very cool project called the Amalgamation Project. In this interview, we discuss what sparked the idea for the Amalgamation Project, how it's been putting it together, and some of the challenges he has faced, plus the live show that will be on August 26th at the Deisel Concert Lounge. We got a lot to discuss in this interview, and I hope you enjoy. So let's dive in. Before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. I got a really cool, may I say, super cool drummer joining me for this interview, making his 5th appearance here on a super cool radio. Please welcome from the great state of Michigan, Bryan Knickerbocker.
Oh, stop. I'm glad to be back. Right before we started recording, I just literally mentioned that this was the first time I've had an interview since the last time that you interviewed me, so I choose to be selective about who I talk to about these things. You know, I got to give you the inside scoop first.
Well, hey, I appreciate you asked for the interview. It's always a fun time hanging out with you. I'm glad to have you back on the show, and I can't believe it's been over a year since our previous interview.
Yep. Yes, it has. Just over a year. It was March of last year. But I'm here again.
That's right. But I know we got a lot of great stuff to discuss throughout this whole interview. But before we really kick everything off, I know we got a very cool project to talk about. But before we get to that, have you added any more pieces to your drum set?
Yes, I have actually. So the big hit that the people that have seen me know, that hasn't gone out to do a show in quite some time now. It was September of last year, the stage drive show at the Token Lounge. And when I know it's not going anywhere, I'm just, I'm like, fuck it. Let's just put everything on. That way I got a fun thing to play with, because the gigs that I'm doing now, I don't need that. And I have a smaller drum set that it's a lot easier to fit in my car, and it's smaller by quite a bit. So but I've added two cymbal stacks. I've added those, and I got a new cymbal to replace one that cracked. So if you want to count that, but it's not a new thing, it's just a replacement thing. But yes, it is looking quite large, and dusty and sad. But the project that we're going to talk about today is one of the times that it's gonna get to be seen again. So I'm excited for that, because why not?
Well, I'm glad you're going to be dusting it off. It's actually going to be in use. But I was always I wanted to ask that question just because I know you have a larger than what kind of normal, maybe not normal, but what some other drummers have, we'll say.
I bring more than I should. We'll just say that, because overall, it's you play, you need what you need, right? Like people, double bass, 6 toms, whatever Mike Portnoy plays, but you need what you need. And I like to dress it up a little bit, because as you know, and as my KISS t-shirt here, I grew up on 80s and the XS, and I to be completely honest with you, I get a little shy and I like to hide behind everything. So that's why I have all of my things up and out and hiding my face.
But I will say it when I do see like some action photos of you. There's some photographers who are able to still take some great photos of you. So props to them for being able to do that.
Yeah, I commend any photographer that can get a halfway decent shot without something in front of me. There was a show that we played at PJ's Lager House and last summer, and it's a very small venue, maybe fits like 100 people or so. Brought the big set out because we had back-to-back nights, and I was just, I wanted to, take it out for a while, take it out just for fun. And they got a bunch of these awesome pictures. They hired a photographer for the show. I got a bunch of really nice pictures up front. And the only one of me that got edited and posted was one that he asked me to take, where like I just sat behind my drum set and like went like that. That was the only picture of me that got posted. So yes, it is quite a feat to get a decent picture. And I appreciate all the photographers that do, because I like to look like I know what I'm doing.
I mean, it's good to have the aesthetic and to make sure you look like you know what you're doing for sure. But so now getting into a very big reason that we're both here right now, sitting digitally across from each other, and that is a very cool project, the Amalgamation Project, that you've I've been working very hard on with many other people as well. So before we get to diving into this project, what inspired the Amalgamation Project?
So I am an affiliate of an arts collective called Opportunity Arts. It's run by a man named Mike Marriott. He's a phenomenal arts promoter, and his whole thing is kind of getting people, very talented people, together and kind of helping with the more business related side of things, because he's been promoting and booking and stuff like, and doing this sort of thing for like I think 25 years now or something like that. And I joined it's been 2 years now. I joined 2 summers ago, and they invited me. There was a festival where they had a stage where they were just doing a showcase, and it's like, hey, come mingle. And I was like, okay, cool. And I got to talking to a guy named Stefano Andreotti. That's about the most Italian name. And scraggly New York accent. It's great. He's an awesome dude, but he's an opera singer, and a very good one. He's like won awards and he's younger than me. So that's the amount of accolades that he has is impressive. So we were talking, and then I talked to a beatboxer named Tongue Effects. And he's like, and he kind of mentions like, yeah, me and Stefano are gonna collaborate. We're gonna do Ave Maria, and then like have me beatbox underneath it, because like nobody expects, beatboxing and opera to come together. But like, boom, cool, bah. And I was like, dude, that's really sweet. And then as I was walking away from that, I was like, okay, but what if I did it bigger? What if I got these people who have never worked together and give them, an ability to, maybe play outside of their band or play with a band. Some of these people are acoustic artists even. I mean, then you're just do something fun. And so that was kind of it. And I kind of stewed on it for about 6 months. There was a big chunk of time when I was getting into stage drive, and I put everything on hold, like on my Diecast Romance stuff. I left Two-Face Wilson, obviously, and Kayla and I stopped doing her solo music together just to focus on stage drive. So I kind of put it in the back, and I was talking to Mike, and I mentioned it to him, and then I talked to a good friend of mine, Brandon Navin, who unfortunately passed away last year. So he won't be able to see it, but I talked to him about it, and he was he's like, dude, that is a great idea. Like he was the type of guy that I trusted his opinion without even thinking. And he's like, do it. So I was like, I'm going to do it. So I put the call out and got a lot of amazing responses, and here we are, moving right along.
That's a lot of I know it's a culmination of a lot of different things. Obviously for you and the people you've worked with to make this happen. It's cool to hear the inspiration and the backstory about this very cool project that you have.
Yeah, I love it. And like you said, Kayla, the from Stage Drive, she's doing it. Adam Drosha from Two Face Wilson, Steve from Calloused. God, who else? Well, Tim Martouche and Katie Puga from Fatal Conceit, who I very good friends with, and I did a little fill-in sit-in thing with them randomly. John Penman's doing it. My current boss. Yeah, it's literally everybody. Like, it's really cool. And it wasn't supposed to be like that. Like, I was fully intending on having to work with people that I've never worked with ever, and I've only not met one of these people in person. That's it.
It's so cool. I know you have a really great list of very high caliber, very talented musicians who will be performing along with the Amalgamation Project. But so for you, like, what are the goals with this project? Have you really thought of what do you want to accomplish with the Amalgamation Project?
Well, so this year is kind of the proof of concept year. Like, it's not quite, I see steps. So this is the proof of concept. And what I wanted to do is, I know you're a wrestling fan and you'll really appreciate this. This is the honest truth of why I wanted to do this and what my ethos was. Is you remember before AEW started out, all those indie wrestling companies came together and did that show at Madison Square Garden, or at the LA Forum. I'm sorry, right?
I think you're talking about All In.
Yeah. The first one, it wasn't even called All Elite Wrestling. It was just All In.
Yep.
To compete with WrestleMania, who, the indies were like the Tiny and the nobody can compete with the McMahons, and all these indie companies came together and did it, and they sold the place out, and screw you, we can do this without the corporate backing. So I guess the reason is we can sell $10 tickets. And you get to see a phenomenal lineup front to back of stuff you have never heard before and may never hear again, comprised of just artists from the local scene. And it's basically basically a variety show. I've struggled at times to describe what it is, and when everybody asks me, but luckily for you and all the people that are watching this, I've kind of gotten it figured out by now, so I don't have to fumble so much.
But no, I got you with with what people can definitely expect. It's going to be a great night of a very diverse set of music, as you said, just with some of the musicians. There's rock musicians, there's pop rock, and completely different stuff as well, even some punk rock in there too. So there's so much. So much diverse musicians who are going to be a part of it that it is hard to say what to expect, because there's so much that people can.
Yeah, and to that, I mean, there's the whole thing was going to be the odd. I originally imagined it being an odd couple sort of situation, like with the beatboxer and the opera. I was going to put everybody just like total separate worlds, figure it out, good luck. But as more people that I know and became friends with, the whole pairing process, I got done immediately. I just sat down, looked at who it was, and oh, I know he'd be good with her, and she'd be really good at just pegged it all out. And there are a couple that aren't really like Johnny Neville with he's paired up with Stefano. So you got the opera singer and with Elsie Binks guitar player. What's that gonna make? So it's and I don't know what they're making. I've heard one demo so far.
Well, I know, from my personal experience, obviously, as many people know, he's in the credits. He created the intro and outro music for Super Cool Radio. He is extremely talented, and like my guidelines for like my music, I just said make it. It had to rock and had to sound super cool, and that's all I told him. And I love what he came out, what he produced. It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Johnny. I love all the LC Banks people. Big hearts to all of you guys. Shout out. And yeah, and hopefully, if this becomes a successful thing, I know I might be skipping to what's ahead for the Amalgamation Project, but I'd like to have, obviously Jen and Darren and Aaron and whoever else. But yeah, they're all great people. All the people that I'm working with on this are phenomenal human beings for putting up with me.
But I definitely got, as I said, a really great list of people, including some LC Banks people many people have been watching Super Cool Radio. Huge fan of, good friends of mine as well. And but again, the whole list, you have, again, high caliber musicians. So before, I know you're getting a little bit ahead, I want to go just real quick over here, and then we got some more stuff to talk about as well. But how did, as you said, you know many of these musicians personally, so how was it like? Did you reach out to them? Did someone say, "Hey, I heard you're working on something, I want in"? Or how did all this list of these musicians, how did that come about?
I made a Facebook post, the power of the internet. I got a lot of responses from that. I personally reached out to a couple of people to ask them personally. And there were a couple people, like a girl named Jessie Golden, who's working with Tim from Fatal Conceit. She was brought in by somebody who's actually no longer in the project. It was a word of mouth thing, and people getting a hold of me that were like, "Oh, hey, I got this group that I'm a part of. Let me see if I got this group," and it warmed my heart that something so crazy just had that natural, "Hey, let's do a thing," kind of. And then I overbooked it, honestly. Like I got more pairs and people than I probably should have, because I didn't know how many people, I was like, is this going to be like a half-hour thing, just a little showcase, whatever? And for the most part, I think I've had 3 people drop off for one reason or another, but everybody stuck through it, and it's great.
It's just so cool, and very cool for me to hear that everyone has come together to work on this awesome project, and that they're willing to put the work in. They're working with people who they may not have worked with before, or may not even know, but yet they're working together and they're coming together to form this project. Because honestly, unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to come together, for whatever reason. But for this, you are really setting a very cool standard that that everyone wants to work together to make this successful.
Well, and part of it too, also that one of the other kind of back reasons why I wanted to do this is because there's a lot, and it's not even just up here. Like I've heard of stuff in your area and even down as far as Fort Wayne about just this local drama that just everybody's just backstabbing and shit talking, and I want to create a stronger, because a stretch goal, I guess, would be considered as like, maybe these 2 people liked working together, and then they'll they'll keep going and do something else, and just keep strengthening and bringing people together for networking. That's another thing too. That's like kind of a built-in thing. By the way, anybody that's doing this that doesn't know, you're gonna have so many people that you can have to like help you out with stuff like this. That was a built-in bonus. Everybody getting together, let's do stuff, and yeah.
No, I definitely agree. We're in the same kind of music industry, in the different parts. You're musician, I'm podcaster, but I still hear a lot of the unfortunate drama that does go on. So that's why it's very refreshing for me to hear that people are coming together, people are working together, and you never know what could happen. There could be a new band that could offshoot because of this, or just someone collaborated on the EP together because they worked together on this project. There's so much endless possibilities that could really benefit and really put a positive spin on somebody or both people in a case of a collaboration or a band.
Yeah, and for the people that are going to go, I mean, you got to think too. This is going to be 22-ish fan bases that are all going to be coming together and getting to see all these other people, and oh, that's my person, and I like who they were playing with, so I want to check out that person's thing, and kind of diversify, because there's people that the gatekeepers or whatever, but
that's for another podcast.
Yeah, I don't need to get canceled. I'm trying to promote something, but but the point is it's just good for it's for everybody to come together and just see some great local musicians.
Exactly. And before we really talk about the show that's coming up August 26th, I did want to ask, since we're kind of talking about kind of the same aspect here, but what do you think's been the biggest challenge for you for the Amalgamation Project? I figured you were probably going to think I was going to ask that, so I did.
Well, so that has numerous. It's like in Loki, where that's got like there's the sacred timeline, and then there's like the spider ones going off. So currently, well, okay, I'll say starting out, the issue was getting people in touch with each other, because they're like, I announced the pairs, and it was literally 4 months before any of these people started even like saying, hey, let alone working together. And there's still a little bit of that going on for various legitimate reasons. And I have full faith that everybody's gonna, do what they do, produce something. Like I'm not kind of breathing down anybody's neck, but so that was the issue then. Currently, we're trying to get sponsors. That's the big thing. That's the big one that I'm dealing with now, because I've never done this before. Like, this is the learning experience for me as well. Like the booking side of it, I've done a million times. But I'm putting myself out there as well, and expanding my skill set and things that I can say I can do. And probably by the end of July, when we have rehearsals, that's going to be getting everybody's song at least rough drafted in an hour and 15 minutes a piece, that everybody gets to go home and practice to, because that's the one time that we're all getting together to rehearse. So again, house bands, myself, Will Pruitt, and Matthew Shannon on bass. We're kind of getting stretched, because as we've touched on a couple of times, they're who the hell knows. I mean, I feel like people wouldn't be trying to write anything too severe. There's one of my best friends, Andrew Ketchum. He's in Let It Rot, and I told him, I'm like, calm the fuck down. Just, my skill set. You played with me before. Chill out. And he's like, okay. So there's yeah. So the problems will resolve themselves. It's slow going. I feel like I'm further behind than I actually am. So it's just kind of a mental thing. I definitely need to work on it more, though. That's for sure.
No, I know you have a lot going on with this project. Not only, it's really, from like my perspective of it, it's really like just getting in contact with everybody, like setting up either rehearsal time with like the house band, but also like you don't really know exactly what people are going to go with. I hope there's no like like symphonic jazz opera kind of thing, but you never know. And but you do got to be aware of that. But I think it's a lot of like checking in with people, making sure how's it going, that kind of stuff. I feel like that's a lot of like right now what you've been doing.
Yeah, and even so, it's more in passing. Like, I'm not like a teacher. It's like, hey, this is your weekly check-in kind of thing. Yeah, that is what a lot of it is. And I work with John, so I check in with him, and again, being the benefit of having all these people that are my friends is that I can just literally slip it into any conversation that I want and be like, oh, hey, yeah, how's that going? Like, just in the middle of a conversation, and it just works out.
That's true.
Yeah. Added bonus.
It definitely is. But so now talk about the show itself. It's obviously going to take place August 26th at the Deisel Concert Lounge in Detroit. So for you, there's two guest bands that will be a part of this show along with the Amalgamation Project. Who are those two bands, and how'd you meet them?
Well, the first band is The Early. I love them dearly. This will actually be the third time I've played with them. I did played with them once with Two-Face Wilson, and then I played with them again when I did the mini tour with Kayla a couple of autumns ago. They're great, phenomenal people, amazing band. You know, I very much subscribe to the first band sets the tone for the night, and The Early is just such an amazing band, and they're so happy all the time. Even though Alyssa's going to be still getting up from the back surgery that she had as of this current time. Obviously, she'll be fine by then. But anyways, yeah. And the other one is Crafted Conviction, who are also great friends of mine. Caitlin is a doll. She jumped on board, no questions asked, and she's even kind of helping me out with the sponsorship stuff because she runs a cleaning company that cleans businesses. So she already has that nice working clientele that she can be like, oh, hey, this is happening too. So she's been helping me out behind the scenes as well. They're a little heavier, obviously, than The Early, but they're going to start kind of pick the energy up. Plus, they're amazingly talented musicians. The drummer he's got his toms like way up here, like man, I feel like an asshole for not remembering from Faith No More. The drummer, he's always good way up, but he's always but anyways, Brendan's always fun to watch. And then it's us, all 22 of us, all at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great night of music. If anyone's like a music lover, it's gonna be the perfect show for them. But obviously, The Early, good friends of mine as well. I love seeing them live because they're like, you can't not have fun with one of their shows. They just bring so much energy, and they're always just so much fun that you can't not. You like if you're angry going to a show and then like you see them live, your mood's gonna change instantly.
Yeah, they're great, and I love them dearly because the first time that we played together, they sound checked with Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, and they didn't play it during the set. And I went up to them and I was like, hey, promise me that the next time we play together, you're going to cover Dreams for me. And they forgot. And this was the show that you were at down in
Fort Wayne,
the Muse on Main. Yep. And they just like cut out one of their songs and played it for him. And there was maybe 5 people there, but the bass player was just kind of like running around the seating was pews, like church pews. And the bass player was just kind of jogging around in time. And it was great. Yeah. They're amazing to see live. I would highly recommend it to anybody outside of seeing them at the Amalgamation Project to go and see them play anywhere.
Oh, definitely. I do hope. I know, obviously, as you said, Alyssa's having some back issues, back surgery. So I do hope because she's another great part of the band as well. So I've seen them a few times.
She's going to be there. She's going to be there. She already told me that she'll be good by then.
No, I know, and that's why it's a few months away. But I've seen them, in this time they've had some fill-in, keyboardists, and they always have great, any people they hire for the band, always great people. But she brings just a lot of good energy, during on the stage when she's performing,
and an amazing singer, top-notch, A+ amazing singer.
Definitely.
I'm a sucker for vocal harmonies. I mean, I can get down to some ABBA and Shania Twain, and I will not be ashamed to admit it. But yeah, vocal harmonies are my thing, and Alyssa's voice just blends so well with everybody else's. It's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, I unfortunately have not seen Crafted Conviction live, but I've heard a lot of great things about them. So I know another great band. Obviously, 2 really great bands to set the stage for the Amalgamation Project. So I do got a few more things to do want to cover. Then we wrapping up this interview soon. So the house band, as you said, you, Will, and Matthew. How did you determine like those? You guys are going to be like the house band.
Well, my intention was always to play. Even at the protest of some of the people in my team that's helping me behind the scenes, they don't think that I can run the show and play the show, which, you know what, they're probably right. But I would, it is what it is. It's my vanity project, damn it. Fuck you. I want to play. Why wouldn't I hire all my friends to play and then not play? Like what? Why? That's half the reason. All my buddies are going to be there. Like, it's going to be great. And then Will was going to be in. He was one of the guys that I was going to get a hold of because he's a great guitar player and an amazing singer. Ritual Sons, check it out. And I can't remember that far back if I asked him to be a member of the house band right off the bat or not. I think I might have. I feel like I did. Because I wanted to, because he's also an Opportunity Arts affiliate, and I was trying to populate it with as many affiliates as I could, and I knew that he was capable and is capable of doing that. And he is also writing songs with Matthew, because we're going to kind of just show off as a house band, because we're here too, right? And then he brought in, he's like, hey, I know this bass player. And I was like, cool, who is it? Because the bass player was going to be tough. I wanted to have Andrew, but he let it rot, is very busy, and he tends to get a little overwhelmed from time to time. I always like to joke that he both loves bragging about being into bands and hates the stress of being into bands. And I think he would admit that that's true. But so he was, I mean, I myself am a bass player, but I'm not anywhere near skill level that is required for all these different genres. So Will's like, I know a guy, and I'm like, cool, send me his shit, tell him what's going on. He's like, yep, he's down, called him. Yeah, I play bass guitar. I also play guitar. I can do keyboards. I have a keytar. I can do an electric violin, and I can do a little bit of mandolin too. Is that all right? Hell yeah, it's all right. And then we have to talk about our fallen brother, Ari Roynilla, who was originally going to be in the house band as a percussionist, but backed out. I love you, Ari, but this would have been really cool if you did this with me, because we're both drummers, and he's my good buddy, best friend, and that we were trying to always find a way to work together. And this, I was like, I have it. And to be fair, I kind of bullied him into it to start with, but But yeah, so it was just more of a skill level. I mean, I could have honestly had anybody that's doing it be a part of it, but Matthew was a no-brainer, and Will is an amazing guy, not only for finding Matthew, but also in his own right as a musician as well. So yeah, I just picked people and I gave them the full rundown. I'm like, it's gonna suck. Like, I'm not looking forward to having to memorize all these songs. It's gonna be the funnest, most painful thing that I'll ever do. My body's gonna hate me for the fall.
But it's gonna be very rewarding.
It will be. Yes, it will be. Indeed, absolutely.
But it sounds like it's going to be a really awesome time. I know there's going to be a lot of prep work, obviously, for you and everyone involved to do this. But I do hope the best, that the show turns out amazing. You got two great bands who will be opening the show as well. So I think a lot of great things are coming together. And I do hope the best for you and everybody involved.
Well, thank you. Hopefully we can work it out so you're there, man. I'd love to have you shoot some videos, and maybe we can do a post interview with me with my gray ponytail from all of the stress finally getting to me, and you can ask me if I still feel like I made the right decision to do this in the first place.
Well, let's see if everything does work out. I would do my best to be there, depending on other schedule commitments. But if it does work out, I think it's gonna be a great time. And if I can be a part of it or just be there, I think it'll be awesome.
Absolutely. You're an awesome guy. Don't let that wrestling stuff fool you. He's a nice guy, I promise.
I try to be. With that, I feel like I've talked about this a lot, but I just try to just put positivity and good vibes out, man. It's all what it should be. And I know some people, that's not what they do, and that's okay. But I'm here. I just want to be the best I can and make everybody, better around me. So that's where I am.
And I appreciate you. I will tell this story again because you like it and it's still very relevant. But the first interview that I had with you when I was talking about Diecast Romance, I got an endorsement deal out of that because he saw that interview and saw how it went. And so I have you to thank for hooking me up with No Nut Cymbal sleeves, and vicariously Ari, because he also uses No Nut Cymbal sleeves as well. So you've done just as much for me as everybody else, man. You're a beacon in the lowly local music scene, helping shine a spotlight on us poor saps.
Well, I really appreciate it. That. Is definitely, like, when I think back to like everything I've done so far in these 4 years, it's definitely one of the moments I do remember, just because it's so cool. Like that, just me, doing an interview and posting it, and someone getting in contact with you to get an endorsement deal. That is something I never thought was like a possibility. So it's just so cool to hear that, and that it worked out very well.
Yeah, yep, it definitely did. I'm still with them. I still use them. I would highly recommend, and just a little plug there, I would highly recommend it to anybody, and all of his products to anybody, any drummer, local drummer. They're great. That's all I'll say. I don't want to take up too much time, but look them up though.
No problem. But I do I do really appreciate having you on again. As I said, it's
Absolutely.
been over a year since our last interview. So nice to have you on. And as I said, a lot of great stuff going on with the Amalgamation Project. So it was awesome to hang out and chat with you about it.
Absolutely, and I hope that this turns into more opportunities, and I'll have you can hit me up anytime I do something. I can sneeze and we'll just talk about it for a half hour. I love being on the show, man. It's great.
Yeah, I appreciate having you on, and thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio. I'll leave some. Where's the best place to check out the Amalgamation Project online? Do you have any ticket links or anything like that?
Yep. There'll be ticket links. I'm gonna do this preemptively in the ticket link below. And there's a Facebook event as well. It's the Amalgamation Project live with special guest Crafted Conviction and the early. Tickets are $10. This is the best value that you're gonna have as far as local talent and regional talent. There's a couple of people, bless their hearts, that are driving up from Mishawaka. Steve Summers and Nevin Haynes. He lives in Three Rivers, but it's still Southwest. But
it's close enough, yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that that some people come out and check this out. I'm putting a lot of work into it. I know all the people that are a part of it are putting work into it. And like I said, this may be once in a lifetime type of situations, or you may get to witness the start of the next big thing to come out of Detroit. You never know. Or we're just going to fail.
All possibilities.
Come find out.
No, when you say it like that, I mean, that's definitely a can't miss event. I will leave links for all things the Amalgamation Project in the description of this podcast as well. Bryan, thank you so much for stopping by Super Cool Radio. Always a great time. For Bryan Knickerbocker, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.